Red Wings Live on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Arby's. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Red Wings Live with Chris Osgood and Darren Elliott. I'm Mickey York. Yes, there's hockey today, and it's all being played in Detroit. The one and only NHL game on the schedule pits the Florida Panthers against your Detroit Red Wings. The Wings coming off a 4-3 overtime win over the Oilers, in which Nick Kronwall picked a great time to score his first goal of the season.
He did, not just for the team. They needed the points. They had played well. They got the result they needed. Nick Kronwall had some great moments and some not very great moments in the same game, but he proved the pro that he is. There's a big Kronwallian hit, and this one is legal. But
they're always legal, Darren. Come on.
He had moments like this where he coughed the puck up on the tying goal in the third. This one didn't end up in overtime, but then he makes the play.
Great recovery off the turnover, just as he did in the third goal. But watch him jump into the play here, immediately realizing, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to get my first of the year. He does it right here with a C&I shot through the legs of that Edmonton defenseman. That's a game winner, and that's the type of goal that might get Kronwall rolling in the goal-scoring category.
Yeah, we need him to be offensive-minded as well. I mean, that's kind of been his game. But I like the fact that hit is also part of his game. So maybe, Nick rounding into true form.
Well, yeah, I mean, Letestu getting Kronwall there, it's not quite as rare as a Bigfoot sighting, but you don't see it as often these days. When Nick is knocking people down, scoring goals, is one of the leaders in that dressing room. It has to give the team a lift.
Well, it's hard for him to make those hits all the time because the league more or less told him in Game 7 last year against Tampa Bay, you can't do this anymore, so it's tough for him. He's just can't recklessly go out there and throw hits like he used to. Now, even the hit against Letestu, he kind of came in a lot slower. He kind of came to a stop almost as he hit him. But you have to like his game. When he's physically engaged, I think his entire game becomes better.
I think most players are like that. It's intensity. You can't just be a 2 or 3 element player. When physical play is part of your game and it's not there, you're not playing a complete game. That was a complete game, good and bad, ended up great.
And they don't just need Nick to get involved offensively. All the defensemen could step it up in that regard.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what Coach Blashill wants. We've talked about it an awful lot, that you need to have 5 guys committed to scoring goals. Just like you have 5 guys committed to defense. Makes complete sense. I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand that that's the way to score goals.
I think if you looked at the goals Red Wings scored against Edmonton, they all happened because the defense were up in the play. Green crashing through the crease on the one goal. He really created opportunity there, and Nyquist scored. So when these defensemen are involved, the Red Wings offense is a lot better. They get up to 30 shots, and when they're not, really, they're stuck around 20. So you got a 5-man offense. That's what I think Coach Blash was looking for today.
Well, the Wings hope the inspiration provided by Kronwall carries over into this afternoon. They officially hit the halfway point of their 6-game homestand today. John Keating is at the Joe and joins us now with more on that home ice advantage. John.
Mick, thanks, and good afternoon, everybody. We're pretty sure that he's not related to Darren Elliott because, A, he lived in England, and B, he was really smart. But the poet T.S. Eliot once said, home is where one starts from. With the Wings 6-5-2 at home, and in the midst of this 6-game homestand, the longest of the year, it's vital that this is where they start from. You want to play the same way every game, but there's always a human element at play. There's always added juice when you're playing in your own rink, and there's always a concern about trying to entertain the home crowd, perhaps more than you should.
Honestly, I don't see a whole lot of differences between home and away except for momentum, and I think momentum's the one big thing that you can capitalize when you're at home and that you have to be real cognizant of when you're on the road. You can't let one goal become 2 and 3. You can't let an ozone grind shift lead to another ozone grind shift, and vice versa at home. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. That's the biggest difference I see. With my year as an assistant here, the year before they had a bad home record. The year I came, for whatever reason, that reversed, and I think we set a record for most consecutive home wins. Those are unpredictable things. I look at just us playing good hockey no matter what rink we're playing in.
And speaking of home and road, most of Peter Mrazek's starts have been away from the Joe, but he gets the call today against the Panthers here in downtown Detroit. His goals against average here is 1.72, a full half goal better than on the road. And welcome back, Thomas Jurko. Your time is now. Jurko couldn't crack the Wings lineup. He was dispatched to Grand Rapids to get some playing time, and all he did was rack up 5 goals and 4 assists in 5 games. He and his relocated confidence are back today. Teemu Pulkkinen will be a healthy scratch. It's astounding, really, especially when you consider that he left the NHL and played for a couple of years in Russia. Jaromir Jagr was quoted this week as saying, if I can play hockey until I die, That's what I'll do. Pretty dramatic stuff. And as a throwback to his own hockey beginnings, he's putting the mullet back on. The Panthers website is actually documenting the progress of Jágr's growing again mullet. With more on a guy who can see 44 years of age from here. We head downstairs to the ever-youthful Trevor Thompson.
You know, Keith, that hockey hair was really in style back in 1990 when Jaromir Jágr, as an 18-year-old, was the youngest player in the NHL. Now, 25 years later at 43, he's the oldest player in the NHL and defying the odds, somehow still playing this game, the only 1990 draft pick still in the league. And when you look at his career numbers, they are simply astounding. This guy is 6th all-time in assists, 5th all-time in goals. He's 4th all-time in total points, played for 8 different teams. Against the Red Wings back in the day when his head coach Gerard Gallant was still in the league. He's in a surreal position of now coaching a guy he once played for and lends some perspective on what Jaromir Jágr has meant to the league and to his team.
What he means to our team is that, you know, like you said, he's a future Hall of Famer, a great hockey player. He's come in and done a great job. I mean, for him to play the way he's played at 43 years of age, he does it every day for us. You know, he comes to practice, he works hard. He prepares himself to play every game every day, and that's the biggest thing. He comes prepared to play. He doesn't want to just come to the rink and show up. He prepares himself the day before, the day of, and he gets ready for the games.
Being on the inside with him, what is it that you see him do day to day that's allowed him to play at this high level at that age?
Well, just the dedication. He loves the game of hockey. He comes to the rink, and his off-ice training is something else, you know, and that's why he says. I mean, he doesn't look 43 years of age.
Right.
He's a big, strong man, and he does it every day, and he always says that, you know, I got to keep doing it or I won't be able to play.
Yeah, how much do the young guys on your team look up to him?
Oh, huge. I mean, it's huge, especially the kids that play with him, you know, Huberto and Barkov. He's been great for those kids.
They look up to him, and they've got a long way to go to catch him because the active all-time points leader is about to move up the charts. 2 more goals. He'll pass Marcel Dion for 4th on the all-time list. 12 more, and he'll pass former wing Brett Hull for 3rd on the all-time list. And with 31 more points this season, he'll pass the guy many consider to be the greatest player of all time, Gordie Howe, for 3rd on the all-time points list. He'll try to add to those numbers here today against the Red Wings. He is leading the Panthers so far this season with 18 points on the year. Keats, back up to you for now.
And he's got 8 points in his last 8 games as the Panthers roll into the Joe. Trev, thanks. He's back with us a little bit later in Red Wings Live. You know the deal. We haven't paid off since opening night. As always, if a Red Wing has a hat trick in today's game, you're invited to bring a copy of the box score to an Arby's tomorrow for a free small order of curly fries. In a moment, 3 of the Red Wings will talk of their unique living arrangement. There's a house somewhere in town that we imagine smells like hockey gloves and chips and Axe body spray. That story shared after this.
Zetterberg brings it in. He's got Larkin flying. There it is, right in. Scores! A gorgeous goal. Zetterberg to Larkin. Red Wings back in front 3-2.
Remember the absolutely crazy, impossible thought that maybe, just maybe, Dylan Larkin might be best served by starting the year with the Griffins in Grand Rapids. Well, we're all capable of that. I'm glad I didn't do that moment. And so Larkin, once here, needed a place to stay. And somewhere in the Detroit suburbs, there is a landlord who took a leap of faith. And Larkin joined teammates Riley Shane and Luke Glendening in becoming housemates. The first thought you have is of toga parties and of double secret probation, but they all swear that's not the case.
No, it's not as, I don't think it's as bad as people think. It's kind of do our own things and spend some time together, whether watching football or certain things like that. But I guess some nights it can be fun and maybe a little bit more action than normal, but for the most part, we're pretty relaxed.
We got 2 dogs. They both have a dog, so it's a full house, and I think with those guys, they just look after their dogs and hang out, and you know, I just hang with them. So it's pretty laid back, and you know, we have some fun too.
Who's the slob?
We're all pretty clean. You know, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but you know, I think I'll say Glenny's the most clean.
And who's in charge? Who's the father figure of the group?
I don't know that we have a father figure. I think we all take care of each other and clean up after each other, so it works out all right.
Nobody cleans up after each other. Is it a mess?
No, not at all. We're all pretty clean.
Glendenning assures me that no girls are allowed in the house. It would.
Yeah, I know. We try to keep them away. They're distractions, so we just try to keep our eyes on the prize and stay focused on hockey.
Yeah, okay. All right, Riley. No girls are allowed. They stay focused on hockey. We're buying that. Just imagine laundry day there at the house. Any of the three could be candidates to be the McDonald's player of today's game. See if your pick matches ours during Red Wings Live postgame coverage. It's brought to you by the all-day breakfast menu at McDonald's. Glenn Hall started his legendary goalie career in Detroit and now has just been overtaken on the all-time list by the goalie the Red Wings will have to face today. Our goalie's on their goalie, Roberto Luongo, next.
Red Wings Live is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by Motor City Casino Hotel. Darren and Ozzie back once again for today's Xfinity look around the league. And guys, we don't have to look too far. Florida goaltender Roberto Luongo won his 408th career game on Friday night. Ozzie, to win 400-plus games during an NHL career, you're doing something right.
I think consistency, work ethic. I think for Roberto Luongo as well. You know, he reinvented himself a bit. He was in Vancouver. To me, he was one of Vancouver's best players and should have never even been considered being dealt from Vancouver. And I know Miller's there, but they haven't had the same goaltending since him and Snyder left. And you know, we're just talking off camera. Edmonton could take a lesson from this. Florida pretty much has the same team. They got a lot of good young talent up front, but they wouldn't got a veteran goalie. He stabilized this Florida team and gives them an opportunity to make the playoffs.
And the thing is, they've only made the playoffs 4 times in 21 seasons in Florida. So they've been rebuilding forever. So the best thing you need a rock to have a foundation and a base, and that is Roberto Luongo. And I agree with you. Edmonton Oilers, any team like that, we have a bunch of young players, have a veteran guy that knows how to win like Luongo. That stabilizes everything, and the young guys can mature and find their game.
And Darren, certainly when you look at the list of goalies with 400 career wins, you're talking about some of the best that have ever played the game.
Absolutely. I mean, for a lot of the reasons that Ozzie talked about, and look at this list in terms of Marty Brodeur. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and all those wins, that's ridiculous. I look at this, Curtis Joseph, fantastic. But if I look at this as with Chris Osgood on this list, the Hall of Fame part, I think, has to be there because of anybody in that list, if you have at least one Stanley Cup and 400 wins, Ozzie, you're the only one not in the Hall of Fame yet with those credentials.
That 401 would have been a lot higher if I wouldn't have been in Babcock and Doghouse for the last 2 years. I couldn't get off that number.
You were stuck on that number. But what a number. And what I always talk about Ozzie and your credentials, I don't want to embarrass you, but you left from here and went and won over 30 games in St. Louis, over 30 games on the island. To me, winning is what that position's all about. Luongo has done it, and you did it as well.
Yeah, in the end, it's all about winning. I even said that. I mean, grew up watching Grant Fury. He was on that list. Loved him. He just won hockey games. I think same you can say for Luongo is he just wins wherever he goes. He sported a .920 save percentage each and every season. So this guy is a legitimate goaltender. 400 wins to me. Definite Hall of Fame. He's going to play 1,000 games. That's crazy for a goaltender to play that many games. But to me, he obviously is deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. And he's one of my favorite guys. Not only, but his Twitter account is fabulous.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. So having a sense of humor like you were just displaying there about Mike Babcock, about the position is really important as well. Roberto Luongo, in that shootout, they win, but 9 straight goals were scored. He goes on his Twitter handle, I finally stopped one, guys, look at me. And they got the win, but he has a little bit of sense of humor.
You got to have a sense of humor to be a goalie and play for that long and play that many games because you're going to have off nights, off games, bad goals. You got to laugh at yourself sometimes and just continue to play. I think Luongo's done that. He's went to Florida and really stabilized the team. Like we said before, they have a chance to make it now, not because they're talented up front, but because they have a goalie they can trust and depend on each and every night.
All right, Chris Osgood, future Hall of Fame netminder right there. All right, enough of this goalie talk. Up next, we turn our attention back to the skill players, guys, if you don't mind. Thomas Tatar has been hotter than a jalapeno over his last 4 games at the risk of severe burns. Trevor Thompson dares to get close enough to talk to him when we head back ringside next.
Well, the guys in the studio just talked about it, and here it is. The Panthers were in a shootout Friday against the Islanders, and the goalies had no chance. The first 9 shooters scored, and that had never happened before. The previous run of success to start a shootout since the concept was implemented was 5. Finally, with the goalies thinking about their next careers or maybe a malted beverage, Roberto Luongo made a save on Brock Nelson, and it was over. It was like the musical career of One Direction. We couldn't believe it kept going, and so successfully. Red Wings haven't been in a shootout this year. They have been to overtime 8 times so far this season. There is the chance that today could be one of those shootout attempts, because the last 6 times the Panthers have visited, Florida's gone 5-0-1 with all of the games decided either beyond regulation or in a 1-goal final. But the Wings are always concerned about their own game, and they're thrilled about the scoring touch again of Thomas Tatar. 5 goals in his last 8 games. He just spent a minute with Trevor Thompson on the ice.
Well, John, Jeff Blashill refers to his line with Tatar, Nyquist, and Sheahan as the X factor. When you look at what your line has been able to do lately, Tats, why has he been so effective, and how's it helped the team?
You know, I feel there's some chemistry from Grand Rapids, and we know each other where we are on the ice, and it's just fun to play right now.
Now that you have Brad Richards and Pavel Datsyuk back, you guys are as healthy and complete up front as you have been all year long. How has it helped this team moving forward?
You know, those 2 guys are really experienced guys. They both achieved been so high. I mean, they really helpful, and we are glad to have them back.
You're going up against Jaromir Jagr and a team that's got some offense up front when they get it going. What's the secret today to keeping them off the board?
You know, we just have to cut them off, you know, to box them out there on the crease and, you know, overshoot the puck, and hopefully we will find some pucks in the net.
Keep shooting at yourself, and thanks for this.
Thank you. See you guys.
There goes Thomas Tatar. He and the Red Wings looking to put together another win against the Panthers here today. John, back up to you for now.
Trev, thanks. Every team that's successful needs a freak. Might that be Darren Helm because of that combination of grit and speed? But he's battled the dark shadows of injury. Is he past it finally? We'll talk of that next. Red Wings Live on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Priority Health, Michigan's healthier approach to healthcare. And by ZotAuto.com, home of Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Ford, Toyota, and Scion. Wings and Panthers coming up on a glorious day in southeastern Michigan. Well, the same thing could be said about pilots and gymnasts and the stock market. The beauty of Darren Helm right now is that he, wait for it, can go up and down. For the most part, he's been a 4th liner, but as we saw Friday night, he has the toolbox and the speed to play up, to play with the more skilled players on this Red Wings team. But as all Red Wing fans know, he's had all those injuries, one after another. His season didn't begin on time after a training camp collision. And right now, maybe finally, Darren Helm is back to feeling like Darren Helm.
There's no question I wasn't at my best the first 5-10 games of the season. I think things are coming along. Obviously, I'm always looking to get better and improve, and would like to help contribute a little bit more as well. But I think skiing's getting better, and that's the first step.
Was there a point in your career when you look back and said, that's as good as I've played, and you're aspiring to get back to that? Around the various, things that have sort of been hiccups, bumps on the road.
There's been times where I've been pretty satisfied with the level of play, and obviously when goals and assists are coming and things are feeling pretty good. But there's never a point where I'm completely satisfied. I want to be, better than what I was before, and hopefully I'll get to that spot and keep going.
Changes from Friday. Mrazek in goal. Thomas Jurko is in for Timu Polkinen. Jakob Kindl is in for Brendan Smith. The Wings 4-0-2 in their last 6. Back to the studio. Back to Mickey York. Mick.
All right, John, thank you very much. Yeah, Wings and the pesky Panthers coming up here in just a few minutes. Panthers haven't lost a regulation game at the Joe since the start of the 2009-2010 season. What do the Wings need to do to snap that streak today?
I think it's more of the same. A good start, good finish. Yeah, they've given up some leads, but that's going around everywhere in the National Hockey League right now. I think for the Red Wings, just like we talked about before, Play as a group, play as 5, get a lot of offense. You got to get guys in front of Luongo, though he's a big goaltender who's playing well this year with some confidence, and really play physical against these young forwards for the Florida Panthers.
And one of the things is, on a day like today, we might be going every other day. It's a break in the routine afternoon game. Manufacture emotion. A guy like Thomas Yurko comes in, he can be the guy that gives you that energy.
We all need to manufacture some emotion. And smelling salts for us as we get ready to play some Sunday afternoon hockey. That's coming up next from Joe Louis Arena. Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond have the call from the Joe. We'll see you back here during the intermissions and again after the game for a post-game edition of Red Wings Live. Enjoy the hockey game, everybody.